I'm Frank Fantozzi, President and founder of Return on Life Wealth Partners, and I'm glad you're here with me today. You know, throughout my career, more than 35 years now, I've had the privilege of sitting with hundreds of families, and despite the incredible differences in how each family lives, works, saves, spends, and dreams, the same heartfelt question almost always finds its way into our conversation. Frank, how do we make sure what we've built truly matters after we are gone? I've seen people ask this question with tears in their eyes. I've seen them ask it with worry, and I've seen them ask it with hope. Because deep down, we're not asking about money. We're really asking about meaning. We're really asking about purpose and impact. And that's exactly what today's episode is all about. The art, the heart, and the human side of legacy. So before I go any further, I do need to offer my quick reminder. This podcast episode is for general, informational, and educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. Listeners should consult their own qualified professionals regarding their individual circumstances before making any decisions. So all right, let's jump in. When most people hear the word legacy, they picture paperwork, legal documents, asset lists, maybe a trust or two. But legacy is so much more than a document. Legacy is a story. It's the story your life tells long after you stop speaking. And the truth is, you're creating that story every single day, whether you realize it or not. So let's talk about what that means. Most of us have been conditioned to believe legacy is something that happens later, at the end, after everything has been accumulated, after decisions are finalized, and after life slows down, maybe to a stop. But that's not true. You know, legacy doesn't begin when your life ends. Legacy begins the moment your life starts influencing others. Your kids are watching. Your grandkids are watching. Your employees are watching. And your community is watching. Legacy happens in the car rides, in the kitchen, around the table, in the small choices we make each day, each week, and each year. Not just the grand gestures when someone has a building named after them for making a major gift. You know, when I was young, my dad used to say, Frank, $1 has a job. Don't let it sit around and be unemployed. And as a kid, I laughed. I just wanted to spend it on things my parents wouldn't buy for me. And I thought, you know, Dad, money doesn't have arms and legs. It can't get a job. However, as I grew older, I realized what he meant. He was teaching me, in his own simple and powerful way, that money should be put to work. It should serve a purpose. It should support a life of intention. It shouldn't be idle. It shouldn't be wasted. And it shouldn't be hoarded. That line shaped how I think about money to this day. In that single moment, maybe 30 seconds long, that comment also became part of my father's legacy. Legacy is really created in moments, not monuments. Think of your life as a book. Every day is a page. Every decision is a sentence. Your values are the ink, and your money is the amplifier, the bold text that helps readers understand that meaning. You know, some people write thrillers, some write love stories, some write redemption arcs, and some write comedies. And you know what? Your legacy will be one of the only books your family ever reads cover to cover. So the question is, what story are you really writing for your audience? Really, think about it. Ask yourself, when my children look at how I've spent, saved, gave, and lived, what values will they see? Let that question sink in for a moment. Because once you see money as a message and not a metric, everything changes. So every family has a set of money values, most of them unspoken. Some are learned through observation, some are learned through experience, and some are learned through struggle. These invisible money scripts are passed from one generation to the next, many times without a word ever being spoken. You may have grown up hearing things like, money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford that, or work hard, save harder. Don't talk about money, be generous, or just pay cash. Whatever you heard, you felt something. And that feeling shaped the way you view money today, whether you realize that or not. Whatever you heard, you felt something. And that feeling shaped the way you view money today, not just what you may have learned in a finance or an accounting class. When I started my firm, I wasn't just beginning a business, I was beginning a mission. Back then, the early days, it was not glamorous. It was actually quite ugly. The hours were long, the money was tight, The risk was real. Fear of failure often resided back in my mind, regardless how upbeat I was. There were nights I'd sit at my desk long after everyone else went home and think, Frank, what did you do? This felt like a leap, not a stepping stone. But I had made a promise to myself. Do the right thing. Always, even when it's hard, even when it costs something, and good fortune will find you. And guess what? Sometimes doing the right thing did cost me in the short run. I turned down clients who were not aligned. I spent money on the right tools, not the cheapest ones. I hired good people before I could even comfortably afford them. And I always told clients the truth, even if it wasn't easy for them to hear. Those weren't financial decisions. They were value decisions. And that's the point. Your values shape your life far more than your balance sheet does. So I encourage every family to try one simple exercise. Choose 3 to 5 values that you want your wealth to represent. Maybe it's opportunity, education, security, gratitude, maybe even generosity, kindness, integrity, or adventure, faith, responsibility. When you define these values, truly define them, your money becomes a tool for purpose, not pressure. Values become the compass, and planning becomes the map. Now let's be honest, parents and children don't always share the same money values at the same time. For parents, money might mean security. For kids, money means I want to go out and buy an Xbox. And for teenagers, money can mean whatever gets me whatever fun I can get right now. And that's okay. Values create connection, values create language, and values bridge the generational gap. Let me share you a statistic that still stuns people, even after 3 decades of doing this work. 70% of families lose their wealth by the second generation. 90% of families lose it by the third. Why? Not taxes, not the markets, not inflation. The number one reason, lack of communication and values. Silence can be more expensive than any estate tax. If you hand someone wealth without wisdom, if you give them assets without meaning, if you transfer money and not a mission, they will most likely lose it. I never forget the day one of my daughters asked me, Dad, why do you work so hard? Not that I always had a choice, but I told her it's not the money I'm working for. It's the options it creates. Options to support your future and your sister's future. Options to help others. Options to make a difference in the community around us. And then she looked at me, and with that honesty kids have, she said, why don't more parents explain that? You know, that moment stayed with me because she was right. Kids don't need spreadsheets. They need stories. Kids don't need numbers. They need context. Kids don't need to know how much. They just need to know why. You don't have to begin with, let's discuss this trust. Start with, let me tell you what matters to me, and you can tell me what matters to you. Here are some simple questions you can try. What does success mean to you? What opportunities do you want future generations to have? And what do you think money should do for our family? What do you want our family to stand for? These conversations aren't just practical, they're bonding, they're healing, and they're clarifying. And please, don't bring your kids together to reveal your estate plan for the first time at the family Thanksgiving dinner table. Nothing can ruin a family gathering than family business. Start small, start soft, be human, and make it more of an annual conversation, not just a one-time thing. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. Let's talk about generosity. One of the biggest emotional challenges families face is trying to balance giving towards loved ones and giving towards meaningful causes. But here's the truth. You really don't have to choose. You can do both and do them beautifully. A family I worked with created something wonderful called Giving Day. Every year, each family member chose a cause they cared about. They researched it, they explained it, why it mattered to them, and then they voted on where the family's charitable dollars will go. What happened was magical. The parents learned what mattered to the children. The children learned what generosity looks like. The grandparents saw their values living on, and every year they grew closer through giving and its impact on the causes they chose. Lastly, while charities welcome money, they welcome as much volunteers to help. And when you are on the front lines helping a charity, children begin to learn more about the world, those who are in need, and appreciate more what they have. They don't take things for granted, so think about helping out at your local food bank or even at a soup kitchen, providing meals to those that don't have a family to celebrate with, are in poverty, or even homeless. Your family will remember a tradition of giving far longer than they will remember the exact amount they inherited. Giving shapes hearts, giving shapes character, and giving shapes legacy. Really, without getting too technical, there are a few financial tools that can be looked at to help charities with Uncle Sam's tax support, like donor advised funds, or often called DAFs, charitable trust, legacy endowments, and family foundations. These tools are not just financial, they're educational, they're relational, they're an identity building. Kids won't brag to their friends, "Hey, guess what? My parents left me a perfectly balanced portfolio." But they will say, "My family built a playground," or "We fed 100 families last Christmas." Impact and memories can have a longer lifespan than any inheritance. A legacy isn't something you finalize in a document. It's something you build actively while you're alive. This is what I call a living legacy. A living legacy is active, intentional, personal, and sustainable. Years ago, I had a moment of clarity, a moment that really reshaped my entire philosophy on wealth management. I realized I wasn't in the business of managing just money. I was in the business of helping people maximize their lives. And that's when the return on life concept crystallized. It wasn't just about growing wealth for wealth's sake. It's about helping people live with purpose and making sure their wealth supported that purpose, a personal defined return on life. There are real ways people can create living legacy: mentoring the next generation, funding education for someone who couldn't afford it, backing an entrepreneur, starting a scholarship, coaching young athletes, creating family traditions that teach gratitude, or just being present, or being generous, being intentional. You don't need millions to leave a legacy. You need to create meaning. A living legacy is like lighting candles. Every time you help someone, every time you share wisdom, every time you act generously, you light another candle. Your flame doesn't shrink, the room just gets brighter. That's what a legacy is about. Traditions keep families together. Traditions carry identity. Traditions preserve values. Legacy doesn't survive through a one-time decision. It survives through repeated actions, small, meaningful rituals that echo through generations. One of our families created a Founders Day dinner. Every spring, they gathered to honor the grandparents who started the first family business, to share stories, including the mistakes, as well as the successes, to express gratitude, to discuss charitable goals, to vote on giving initiatives, and to strengthen the family identity. This tradition kept them connected to who they were and who they wanted to be. Think about starting your own traditions. Maybe a family impact journal where you put entries in every year for whom you have helped. A legacy check-in dinner every summer. Passing down keepsakes with a story behind them. Annual volunteering as a family. Traditions don't have to be complicated. They just have to be consistent and aligned with your values. The way your family talks about money may become one of the most meaningful inheritances you'll ever give. Legacy is not a moment. Legacy is a rhythm. It's a culture. It's about practice, not perfection. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to pause and take this in. Your financial story isn't written by spreadsheets. It's written by your choices, your values, your heart, and your purpose. Legacy is not a number. It's a narrative. It's not about assets. It's about alignment. And legacy is not about what you leave behind. It's about what you build into others. So you have to ask yourself, does my plan reflect the story I want to leave behind? Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with something special. We created a brand new resource called Your Legacy Story, and it's completely complimentary. It's a reflective checklist designed to help you think through the values and stories and intentions behind the legacy you're already creating. Inside, you'll find simple prompts and questions that will help you clarify what matters most, the lessons you want to pass on, the traditions you want to build, and the legacy you want your family to remember. This is one of the most meaningful guides we've ever produced at Return on Life Wealth Partners, and we truly believe every family should go through the exercise. Just email us at rol@returnonlifewealth.com. Again, rol@returnonlifewealth.com. Take a few minutes with it, reflect, share it with your family, revisit the guide from time to time to keep you on track, and start shaping the story you want to leave behind. Thank you for spending time with me. It means more than you know. And if you'd like to talk, please call us at 440-740-0130 or visit us at returnonlifewealth.com. Until next time, I'm Frank Fantozzi. Your wealth is your story. Make it one worth telling.